So with the massive buffs that Leroy received just a few months ago, you would expect that you would see a lot of the character competitively at high level. You would be surprised. We aren't seeing that many Leroys in tournament play, and the question begs just why exactly is that case? So the Esports World Cup just ended literally last week, a hype event, hype tournament. Like that was like a Tekken's wet dream, a Tekken fan's wet dream, bro. Like the matches were insane, super hype, like they fed us so much Tekken, it was just difficult to keep up with. And with that tournament came some character representation, as I spoke about in my Steve video. There were so many different characters represented at this tournament. However, quite a number of characters were missing from this. Leroy is one of those characters. Not a single Leroy was represented at the Esports World Cup. So yeah, that sucked, considering how strong the character is, and just why exactly aren't people playing Leroy despite the strength of the character. So let's talk about the state of Leroy in Tekken 8 right now, like a few months after the massive buffs that he received. Now let me just say this straight up, I don't like downplaying characters. If a character is weak, I'll say it how it is. If the character is strong, I'll say it how it is. Character is broken, Dragonov, I'll say it how it freaking is. Leroy is a goddamn strong character. Leroy is cracked. Like, I'm not even gonna joke, guys. Leroy is a very strong character. Most top players are putting him at a very, A rating somewhere, A-, A+, which is very good, especially in a game like Tekken 8. Those buffs he received were a game changer for this character. Like, honestly, they're just a few things I would want, but like you can't really be too upset as a Leroy main with what we received with those buffs. So let's firstly talk about the changes that really that changed Leroy to like a massive scale. And of course, the rapid strikes. The rapid strikes giving him hit was huge. The frame data on the rapid strikes was huge. An improvement to the frame data, like stuff went from -9 to -2, which is just ridiculous. Like down forward 1+2 went from -9 to -2, 1+2, 1+2 went from -9 to -2. So changes like this really changed Leroy a lot. Like this character in hit, oh my days, he has one of the best hit mechanics in the game. The chip damage that Leroy can do, oh my days, it's stupid. It's so strong. So like it just begs the question, man, why aren't people playing Leroy? So he also received a good buff to his back 3. They increased the damage, and it hella improved his combo damage, because that was one of Leroy's biggest weaknesses as well. His combo damage was just plain ass, but now, oh my days, throwing out those back 3s in every juggle that he does, he can get some massive amounts of damage. Even just back 3 on its own, back 3 into Hermit 4th 1+2 does like what, 50 damage now. So he did get substantial buffs. Like really, the parry, oh my days, the parry is so strong, especially the just frame parry. Although you don't really get that much, but like when you do, that's like over 50 damage if they don't take from the ground. Gives him like really strong Oki. Even his normal parry now was plat. So yeah, the changes were goated. The changes were cracked. Like they were so good. But just why exactly aren't people playing Leroy? And I've covered this topic so many times, but like it just doesn't seem to change for whatever reason. So you first go back to Tekken 7. Leroy was a very strong character in Tekken 7 as well. At the end of season 4, he was actually regarded as a top tier character. He was a top tier character, but no one played this character in tournaments at high level. The only players that picked up Leroy were Chikurin and Breadman. No one else played Leroy in tournament. I think, Dustil, he's also a Leroy main, but you don't see him that much in tournaments. King J also isn't really traveling that much anymore. So the Leroy mains were just missing back in Tekken 7. So this has seemed to carry on in Tekken 8 as well. Like Leroy is a strong character, as I said earlier. He is good, man. Let's be honest, Leroy players, Leroy is good. He feels good. Maybe just a few things like down forward 1, and maybe just damage to his lows, because if you compare his lows to Tekken 7, they were nerfed slightly a bit in terms of like damage and risk. Like down back 4 being launch punishable is a huge nerf. It's a huge nerf. That's something I would want reverted. But overall, his neutral lows aren't really that strong. His damage, his good lows are in Hermit. Apart from that, in his down forward 1 as well, being -6 is a clutch. It was -3 back in Tekken 7, the regular down forward 1. But if you look at it, it kind of makes sense because he has the 1+2 follow up, and in hit, that thing is like super good. It's super good. So one might say -6 is a very good balance, but like, I don't know. But overall, he is a very strong character. Now, this goes back to what I said in my previous Leroy video. There aren't just any Leroy mains. That's as simple as it comes. There aren't that many Leroy mains, and I don't think Leroy is as strong as someone like Dragunov, where everyone would tear hole with him. You won't really see that. And just in general, I don't know what it is. I think it's maybe because of the reputation that Leroy carried back in Tekken 7. Maybe that has carried on as well, and people just don't want to play Leroy for that fact. Because we all remember in Leroy Japan, tear holing with Leroy has been a thing, but people just seem not to do it anymore towards the end of Tekken 7, like Season 4, and in Tekken 8 as well. I do believe we'll see some Leroys when the top tier start getting nerfed, when we see some nerfs of Dragunov, maybe Yoshi, King, and Feng, just slight nerfs, but overall I don't think it will change much, which surprises me because, oh my days, I think Leroy is one of the best Tekken 8 character designs, and not just Tekken 8, just like character design in general. I think he's up there, man. Like in chat, like what would you, if you had a choice to choose between Wang and Leroy, guys, like who would you pick? Like who do you think is the better option? Now don't let nostalgia be the base of your judgment, guys. I know I'm an old school Tekken player as well, right? I do love Wang, I do miss Wang, but like I think Leroy is a way better design than Wang. So do you think Wang would perform better if he was here instead of Leroy? Because Wang's play rate has always been low as well, right? Tekken 5, 6, tag. His play rate or usage stats were always low. He was always bottom 5 as well, down there with Zafina, Raven, just like the way things are right now. Even Zafina right now is a bottom 5 character in terms of usage rate. So it just goes to the fact of popularity and lack of mains. Because Leroy is strong. Like I love this character and I think he's strong, but like no one is picking Leroy, man, in tournaments. So I don't know. It's just, I don't know, it just doesn't add up. But I think we'll see some Leroys when the nerfs start coming. What do you guys think? What do you think is the reason why we aren't seeing any Leroy mains? Do people just hate the character? Do they not vibe with his design? Like what is going on? So the only people playing Leroy right now, I believe, is Kang from Pakistani. At least the last tournament I watched, he did pick Leroy. I don't know if he's still playing Leroy. I know Breadman is still playing Leroy. There's one more Leroy player I'm missing. Someone playing Leroy. I think Dojin picked up Leroy once in a while, but Dojin is like, you know, he's like a knee, like a mini knee. So I don't know if that counts, but he did pick Leroy at once. But like overall, it's like what, 2, 3 overall people playing Leroy? So that's not a huge amount of people, right? If you look at a character like, let's say Claudio, right? Claudio does have quite a number of people playing him, and he's not really that popular, to be honest, right? You have Shadow, you have Mugold. I forget the other Claudio players, but like 5 I can think of that play Claudio. So his popularity isn't really that high either, but there are many Leroy mains. So many Claudio mains. So maybe people just don't vibe with the character, man. I just don't know what it is. People just don't vibe with it. And that's sad, man, because Leroy came with like so much hype back in Tekken 7. People were praising the design of Leroy. They actually made a whole trailer just for Leroy himself because Namco and Harada-san, Murray were all happy with the reception that he was bringing, the hype that he was bringing, and all that just went in the drain when Leroy Japan happened. Like I don't even understand how they released such a broken character. Like how they release a character in that state? Leroy was the most broken character I've ever seen, guys, honestly, in a Tekken game. And I think that reputation has just carried, but I'm not repeating myself too much, but like you just can't stop thinking about it. The reputation that Leroy holds Leroy has been stained. It's a stain that he can't really wash off. And when Leroy becomes super top tier again in Tekken 8, I can't help but think that the hate might just come back due to that fact. Our boy is stained, but hopefully he does make a name for himself. So what do you guys think? How do you feel about Leroy? What do you want changed about Leroy? Do you find yourself struggling with this character? What do you find yourself struggling with Leroy? How are you doing in ranked with this character? As for me, I'm doing well. I just got him to, I think, Tekken King. I haven't been playing Leroy as well. I switch between so many characters. Honestly, that's my biggest problem. I try to play so many characters. When I reached God of Destruction with Raven, I took a huge break from ranked. I left Lars at Tekken God. I left Stevie like Raging. I had to take him to Tekken King. I left Leroy in Bushin. I had to take him to Tekken King as well. So I haven't really been playing him that much, like a huge ranked grind, but I will get back into him. I need to take him up and see just how far I can do with the Wing Chun Master. So yeah, let me know how you feel about Leroy, guys. But overall, I think he's in a good place despite the low popularity numbers, ranked numbers. He did get a huge spike after the buffs, but he fell off like real quick, right? Which sucks ass. So what do you guys feel about Leroy? Drop some comments below. So thank you so much. If you enjoyed my video, please like, subscribe, and lastly, please don't forget to check out my Leroy guide, which is doing well, and a bunch of Leroy content on my channel as well. I do love me some Leroy. He's one of my mains. So GG my boys, and take care.